my VP of sales used to always tell me, did someone approve this price, this service, this solution? We were selling IT, and we would talk to a new client. We would promise them something for a certain dollar amount, and I would have to get a one-off approval. That one-off approval would go to somebody in support or engineering. And so what he would ask me, he said, did you get that in writing? And I go, well, the VP approved. He goes, yeah, get it in writing because it's CYA. And I was like, CYA? I didn't even know what it was back then. Cover your ace, right? So I go, oh, okay, well, I'm going to cover it. Hey, how's it going? It's good to have you. Good to be here. Thanks for allowing me to join. Thanks for allowing me to come to the group, hang out for a little bit, man. Doing good.
Hey, so real quick before we get in, man, you're part of the Kingdom RI Mastermind. Worth it? Not worth it? Change your life? Not change your life?
Definitely don't join. Don't join. No, it's awesome. I think it was an amazing group. I've been, I guess, a quote unquote founding member, one of our first cohorts that's been through the mastermind. So since last year, and I love, even when you think about Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, everyone mentions this book. One of the principles there is a mastermind of people that know information that you may have that we can all learn from, contribute to, be a part of, take advantage of. And part of that is a mastermind of individuals that is all, and on the same level. We want to do amazing things. We want to do it for a kingdom, greater the kingdom. And, whether or not you think you have something to contribute, the truth is absolutely everyone has something to contribute. Sometimes it's on faith, sometimes it's on family, sometimes it's on capital raise, sometimes it's on multiple,
How many deals have you closed?
One of those
how many
things.
deals
Awesome.
or how many deals are you either participating in or closed on with members in our community so far?
Let's see. We did 120 units. We did a just outside of Dallas, so a $9 million deal, and then we did a small piece of a industrial portfolio, a triple net lease, $15 million portfolio in 3 states. And then we've had investors on our 88 unit deal in
From the
McAllen,
group?
Texas.
From the group?
Investors from the group that have joined. And then I'm talking to other ones right now about our next deal and working together. So, in one shape, form, or another.
Wait, you missed? Hello, or with what we got going? Is that not part of it?
Number 5.
So I love it, man. So listen, we have an incredible community of very high level real estate investors doing deals, and love seeing Abel come in and just, there's tremendous value in getting connected and really, being around the right people, because you can go faster. You're one connection away, and Abel proves that. So Abel, today we're talking about 506B, 506C.
Yeah.
Are you currently still doing, your last offering was a what?
The last one that we did that we closed on was a 506B. So I've done many multiple 506B deals, total of 7.
Okay.
7 506Bs.
And how many 506C onlys?
So I've started my second 506C. So 2 506C raises, and the rest are 506Bs.
Will you continue to do 506B offering for non-accredited investors?
I will. I'll continue to do 506B investments, essentially as long as I think I can. I really love the principle or the mindset of giving multiple people who would never have the opportunity to invest in these assets or these opportunities a chance or an opportunity to do so. So 506C, which we'll talk about in a minute, but really I love that principle. So I think I'm going to do more 506Bs as basically as long as I can. Yeah. And I like where people can get in that they would not have been able to invest in these assets.
Let me ask you this though. So there is some limitations to the 506B offering where you have to determine if they're sophisticated or not. You can only bring in 35. You can't publicly solicit. So my first question is, how do you cross your T's, dot your I's?
Yeah.
From a security standpoint, in working with non-accredited investors?
I'll talk about maybe when I first got started and what I'm doing now, because I think this may help people that are just getting into the game, try to do this the best possible way. So one of the things that I remembered from my professional career, my VP of sales used to always tell me, did someone approve this price, this service, this solution? We were selling IT, and we would talk to a new client. We would promise them something for a certain dollar amount, and I would have to get a one-off approval. That one-off approval would go to somebody in support or engineering. And so what he would ask me, he said, did you get that in writing? And I go, well, the VP approved. He goes, yeah, get it in writing because it's CYA. And I was like, CYA? I didn't even know what it was back then. Cover your ace, right? So I go, oh, okay, well, I'm going to cover it. So what I would do is put it in writing. Hey, Mr. VP, thank you very much for this approval. I appreciate it. I'm going to copy my VP. And so I know I had it CYA'd. I covered myself. So essentially when it comes to the SEC from a 506B, I think about it the same exact way. Do you have a pre-existing relationship with this investor? Yes. Okay. When did it get established and how can you CYA? I think it's easy for us to say friends and family members, you know them all your life. Easy to prove you knew them before you had a deal under contract. Friends, somebody I worked with, somebody I had a relationship with, it's also, I would say, pretty easy to prove we worked together back in 2010 and this is the date. And, it's very easy to say, yeah, we had a pre-existing relationship. Somebody I met at a conference, somebody I met in passing, somebody I met on a plane, somebody I met shaking hands, one evening talking about real estate is not. So what I would do is CYA. I would get an email in writing and I would send that out and I would say, hey, John, it was great to talk to you last night. I loved hearing about your goals in real estate. I love sharing my goals. Man, I'm excited to talk with you in the future. It's great to start an existing relationship for the future. And one of the easiest ways, in my opinion, to do is just to copy that. And simple. I didn't have a CRM. I didn't have any accredited investor forms or non-accredited, sophisticated, or whatever. It's just like, that was the CYA. So anybody ever asked me, I can at least prove that we had a relationship starting 2019 and I showed them a deal in 2020, right? The next one that I would say is like, well, how do I get it in writing and also make sure that they're a sophisticated investor, right? So that word is something that you mentioned. Hey, well, how do I know they're sophisticated? Well, I think back then what I would do is show them as much information as I could about investing. I would show them my deals as a passive investor. I would put them in direct them towards the education that I was taking. I would point them to a number of books and I would literally have some of these in links and say, hey man, if you need to check this out, get educated. By the way, are you an investor? Yeah. Do you understand you can lose money in any investment? Yeah. Do you know that, there's a chance of profit, but there's a chance to also lose all your risk? They're like, yes, Abel, I know what investment is. Okay. Well, I'm just making sure to kind of feel this stuff out because what I don't want you doing is putting in all your entire, your entire life savings, which may be a smaller amount because it's a non-accredited investor. That's another thing is, I also direct people. I don't want anybody to put more than, 20, 30% of their life savings into any one of my deals, because if they are a non-accredited investor and something happens on a deal, I want to be a good steward of people's capital. So I don't want their life savings riding on whether or not,
I always ask every investor this question. If you give me this 50, 100, 150K today, how long will it take you to replace that? Like, when can you give it to me again? And if the answer is not somewhat in a reasonable period, I'm very cautious and hesitant to want to bring them in the project. One is because, just like Abel said, you never want to take someone's last dollars, because if it's their last dollars, first of all, you don't want that liability. Second off, anybody's last thing is like they're tied to it. And what you don't want from an investor is someone who's always like, my last fit, what's happening. I mean, we're all trying to be great stewards of this, but be wise about who you allow into projects. And that is the risk of 506B deals, is sometimes we're just, we want people to get in these deals, or maybe you're just starting, you're kind of like, I'll take any 50K. And I would just say, be careful, because if you're in this deal 5-6 years, you don't want just any 50K. Yeah. It could be the worst 50K, that you ever accepted in your life if, you have to answer emails once a week for 5 years. So Abel, here's my question then. If you're doing a lot of 506B deals, but you can't market those projects, how do you stay ahead so that when a deal does come, you're able to raise it, because again, you can only allow 35 non-accredited. So I think sometimes the question I have is, when does it stop being worth it to, essentially keep the 506B so you can show it to non-accredited investors? So first question is, how do you stay ahead in the terms of a marketing standpoint if you can't actively market during your deal? And then when do you think it stops becoming worth it?
Yeah. I would say part of the last part of the question kind of bleeds into this one too. So I used to do that then. Today I have a CRM. So invest a few bucks into a platform, technology platform, software, whatever you call it, a customer relationship management tool, I think, CRM. So it's essentially a platform for me to log every single investor or conversation or contact, anybody that I talk to about real estate, into my CRM, into that. There was a midway point where I would keep everything in an Excel. After I moved past email, then I went to Excel. Then I started fielding with a CRM, and then today I have an investor portal. So all of those were different, phases in my career of how to manage this, but that's how I could easily establish who I had an existing relationship. And now that I had them in, a CRM, I could put them in an email tool that I can just go upload every single person that I have an existing relationship with, a pre-existing. I know they're sophisticated. I know they're quote unquote qualified for a 506B deal that we have. And I could send them one big email. And that email is not general solicitation. It is informing people that I have an existing relationship with that there's a new opportunity. And that's essentially how we would do it. So we keep our investors informed of new opportunities, put together an offering. We usually invite them to some kind of webinar or some kind of meeting. So that's kind of the second part of the first question. And then, bleeding into how you're saying, well, how do you market today? How does that happen? Well, I send out a lot of education. I try to put out content as often as possible. I have a podcast today, pretty much daily podcast that I put out. It has tons of information, nuggets, education, one shape, form, or another, about multifamily commercial real estate investing that has nothing to do with me soliciting for a certain opportunity, but rather giving away free content and educational, educational information about investing. And I put that everywhere. I try to anyways. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook.
So what you're saying is you got a funnel of content that's more talking about 5T CRE, your company. People are coming in, you're establishing that relationship with them that way, and then you can show them these deals.
Two things. So let's call it again, an old school. If you're a sales guy, you know what this is. If you're in marketing, you probably have a very great idea of what I'm talking about. But it's a funnel. It's a huge funnel. And that funnel, at the top of the funnel, we want to provide as much education and content to get people into the 5 talents commercial real estate funnel so they can potentially become new investors with us in the future. And so what we do is we give away that education, that free content. Okay, that is a general, informational, educational thing. Then there's a website where they can go in and look at our website and register to become a future investor. They put in their contact information, name, phone number, email, and automatically, we have some automation that allows an investor to come set up time to talk with us. We get them on our calendar. We talk to a new investor, And now we've established a pre-existing relationship. In doing so, there's a trigger that gets flipped, and that trigger says, I have a pre-existing relationship. I've established the relationship on X date. I know more about their goals. They filled them out. They know more about ours. Now in the future, in a future offering, we've categorized them as pre-existing relationships. So I think that's kind of the big one is a marketing perspective. It's get them to know about our company. Then once they opt in and coming in the funnel, who wants to set up time to talk with me? And now we've established a pre-existing relationship.
So, all right. So, Abel, let me ask you. So you did your first 5 or 6 deals. It sounds like you did 506B. Here's a question I get a lot, and I want you to answer: is when do you know? Because, like, I think a lot of people get started. The reason that 506B thing is nice is because most folks, their investor base is their friends or family, right? Or people that they know, and maybe not everyone's accredited. So it is easier to raise, getting started at 506B. I do think though, like, Blackstone's not doing 506Bs. Like, and not that everyone here is going to be a Blackstone, but a lot of our mentors,
billions and billions of dollars too.
Yes. Right? Okay. Well, let's scale it back then. Everyone who's an advisor for Kingdom REI that has over $500 million of assets under management no longer does 506B either.
Yeah. And there's a good number, $500 million, right? So $500 million, they probably have 3,000 to 4,000 doors where, that just may even be a good point, right? Is like, when do you know, shoot, there was one deal early.
That's my question. Yeah,
there was one deal early. There was a 260 something, $25 million plus deal. Well, it was a $7-8 million capital raise. Divide that by 50 grand, which is a minimum. And that's going to put you well over 35 non-accredited investors. So part of it is knowing the minimum dollar amount that you need to raise. Like your capital raise. If we need to raise, I'm going to do the math here because I'm bad at it. $8 million was a capital raise, for example, divided by 50K, that's 160 investors. So if you had a 506B and you were completely full on your non-accredited investors, you're only going to come up with 35 at $50,000 each. That's 1.75. You would be $6 million shy. So there's a couple ways to do it. Is I have to increase my minimum investment. I think on that one, we started with a 75K minimum investment. So that said, if 35 non-accrediteds came in times 75 grand, it's 2.6 million. We're still shy. So can you adjust this ratchet up for non-accredited investors?
Yeah, but at some point, that makes
sense.
That's my point, Abel. And I want to play devil's advocate here because you only can have, this is my point. You could only have 35. And most non-accredited, the reason they're not accredited is because they don't have the income to be accredited. So if you want to start doing bigger deals, 100%. This does start to not make sense anymore.
So if you want to continue to ratchet that up, at some point you can't expect the non-accredited investor to put in 200 or 200 grand. So yeah, it's just part of the natural progression. Now that deal closed as a 506B. We didn't have any problems hitting the $8 million commitment. And the main reason was we had a lot of investors, a lot of accredited investors that still get in, and we didn't fill up the 35 non-accredited spots. So you still have, there's nothing that says you can't market to 506C investors on a general, you can tell them what you do about your business. What you can't do from an SEC standpoint is put out those exact terms on your deals, return numbers, return metrics, financial pro formas, all that stuff that we would generally say is an OM and an advertisement for a deal. Instead, I consistently advertise my company. This is what we do and how we do it. So I think what you do and how you do it and attracting other accredited investors is general enough to where I can't remember the last time if I've ever put percentages of returns in deals on any of the advertisements, but I still have people coming in through the funnel now. So here's a switch. Here's a paradigm shift, right? We've done 8 deals. We're doing 9. It's about to be 10 pretty soon. And I have more actively involved in marketing where I want to start putting a message out there and want to start putting return projections. and advertising more stuff. So I am going to start doing 506c deals. We're at about a little under 1,000 doors under, under our management or whatever, a co-sponsored that I'm part of one shape, form, or another of the general partner team. And then, essentially that's like 100, I don't know. So it's a big number. It's a lot of millions of dollars. So I'm transitioning to that next phase where I don't want to have to worry about it anymore. I do podcasts all the time. I have advertisements.
We get to talk about it.
I probably won't change too much in my market, but I just want to be able to say it. Like, yeah.
So here's the benefit, because you and I both have a 506c offering together. As I exit you and bring up Todd here, why don't you tell people what we're working on, since you can talk about it, and where they can go to learn more about the fund that we have, since it is a 506c offering.
So, 506c, we can openly talk about it. So we have a new fund that we've been working on, and that fund is Mission of Multifamily Fund 1. And so myself, Ellis, another one of our partners, is essentially working on a deal that's invested in across markets, across opportunities, really nice 250 unit plus, $40-50 million deals, many multiple deals that we can provide diversification. So some people are worried about one market, one deal, one operator, one team. And I would love to call myself a professional operator, one of the best in the world. But really, when you're comparing somebody who's really good at basketball and like LeBron James is paid millions and millions and millions of dollars to hit some free throws and score some good points and all the things. Well, we essentially have like a LeBron James of operational teams. So Grace Star Pinnacle, the number 1 and number 3 operators in the world. We've got Real Page, Real Manage, some of the highest paid executives and some of the biggest publicly traded, and huge Fortune, whatever, 100 companies. These entities are the professionals of multifamily. So they're buying many multiple assets and creating a true institutional grade. We throw this word around a lot, institution grade investment. Easy way to ask to find out if it's really institutional, ask them what institutions are investing. So we have institutions that are literally investing, Guidestone, some of the other largest faith-based mutual fund kind of companies and family offices that are investing in it. They're pulling their money. They're buying something bigger, just like we do, than we would have been able to buy on our own. So we're investing in their deal, and we get the benefit of double-digit returns, of very good some tax benefits, diversification across many multiple deals. And if you're interested, you can go to 5tcre.com/invest, and we'll give you some information. You can find it probably on our YouTube page and a couple other spots as well. So happy to connect. If anybody is accredited investor, 50K minimum, most people are putting in 75 or 100 on our level. And then at their level, they're 10-figure commitments. So yeah, excited. And I'm excited to have a good, successful raise with you.
Abel, man, loved having you on. Love your experience. Guys, check out Abel's podcast and make sure you go follow his stuff. I'm pumped to have you on, man. Really love just being friends with you and the way you push me to be better, think bigger, and just get better, man. So I can't wait to see you in Dallas, right? A month. We'll be in Dallas together for the mastermind.